So today we are learning about the grid method for long division, and the first thing that you need to remember is this little acronym. Dirty monkeys smell bad and rotten. So dirty monkeys smell bad and rotten, which really just focuses on these letters in order, DMSBR. Okay, and those stand for divide, multiply, subtract, bump, and repeat. And that's the order of steps that we're going to do something in today. All right, so again, dirty monkeys smell bad and rotten is really just DMSBR, right? Dirty monkeys smell bad and rotten, which means divide, multiply, subtract, bump, and then repeat. So for the grid method, I will take 827 and divide it by 3. Here are my multiples of 3 right here, and on the side I've written dirty monkeys smell bad and rotten to help me remember my steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box, and I'm going to divide it into 3 smaller boxes because I have 3 digits that I'm dividing, right? So I'm going to take these digits, and I'm going to place them in the top right corner. 8, 2, 7 for 827, and the 3, the digit I'm dividing by, goes on the outside. And so I start with this box right here, and I think how many times can 8 go in, or how many times can 3 go into 8? So I'm dividing. 8 divided by 3, well, 3 can go into 8 twice. So I put a 2 on top, so I've divided, and now I multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. Up next is subtracting, so 8 minus 6 is 2. Now I bump this 2 over to the next box, and I have 22 in this box. Now that I bumped it, I repeat. So I divide 22 divided by 3. Well, 3 can go into 22 7 times, right? Because 7 times 3 is 21. So now I've divided and multiplied, I subtract, and I'm left with 1. I take that 1, bump it over to the next box, and I have 17. The closest multiple of 3 to 17 is 15, right? And so I know that 3 times 5 is 15. So 5 times 3 is 15. Now I can subtract. So 17 minus 15 is 2. This 2 right here becomes my remainder, okay? Any number that you're left over with in the final box is a remainder. So my remainder here is 2. So my final answer is 275 with a remainder of 2. Let's try another one. 734 divided by 3. Up first, I'm going to draw a box with 3 smaller boxes in it. I'm going to put a 3 to the side because that's what I'm dividing by. And then I'm going to put a 7 in the top left or in the top right corner, and then a 3, and then a 4. And I'm going to start by saying 7 divided by 3. Or how many times can 3 go into 7? Well, it can go in twice, right? Now, I multiply 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract, I'm left with 1. I bump that 1 over to the next spot, and I have a 13. So 3 can go into 13 4 times, right? And now I can multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. And now I subtract, and I'm left with 1. Now I bump that 1 over to the next box, and I repeat. All right? 3 can go into 14 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. I subtract, and I'm left with 2. This final 2 is my remainder, okay? This final 2 is my remainder, so I write R2. So my final answer is 244 with a remainder of 2. Next up, 734 divided by 6. So here are my multiples of 6 right here. I'm going to draw that box with 3 small boxes in it, put my 6 to the side because that's what I'm dividing by. Put 7, 3, 4, and then get started. 6 can go into 7 1 time. All right, 1 times 6 is 6. I subtract, and I'm left with 1. I bump that 1 over, and my 3 becomes a 13. 6 can go into 13 2 times, right? Because 6 times 2 is 12, and the next biggest is 18. So 6 can only go in twice. So 6 times 2 is 12. I subtract, I'm left with 1. I bring that 1 over, and I have 14. Again, 6 can only go into 14 twice, right? Because 3 groups of 6 is 18, and that's too many. So 2 times 6 is 12. I subtract, I'm left with 2. I put up here R2 because that's my remainder. So my final answer is 122 with a remainder of 2. Next, I have 1,734 divided by 6. This time, because I have 4 boxes, or because I have 4 digits, I'm going to have 4 boxes, right? So I put a 6 to the side, and then I fill in 1, 7, 3, 4. And I get started. Well, 6 cannot go into 1, so I put a 0 up top. Then I do 0 times 6 is 0, subtract, I'm left with 1, bump the 1 over, and my 7 becomes a 17. 6 can go into 17 only twice, because 3 sets of 6 is 18, so it goes in twice. Okay, 2 times 6 is 12, I subtract, and I'm left with 5. And I bump that 5 over. Now I have 53. 6 can go into 53 8 times, right? 8 times. If it goes in 9 times, that's 54. That's too many. So it can go in 8 times. And then 8 times 6 is 48. I can subtract. I'm left with 5. Then I bump that 5 over, and I have 54. Now I repeat. 54 divided by 6. 6 can go into 54 9 times, right? So then, there we go. Whoops, that was out of order. So the 9 goes there. Multiply 9 times 6 is 54. You subtract. You're left with 0. So your final answer is 289. All right? Last one. 8,296 divided by 6. You take that 6 and you put it on the side, and then you put 8, 2, 9, 6. And we say, how many times can 6 go into 8? Well, it can go in once. 1 times 6 is 6. Subtract, you're left with 2. Bump that 2 over, and you have 22. 6 can go into 22 3 times, right? 3 times 6 is 18. You subtract, and you're left with 4. Bump that 4 over, and you have 49. 6 can go into 49 8 times, right? So we say 8 times 6 is 48. Subtract, you're left with 1. Then you have 16. 6 can go into 16 2 times, which is 12. And you're left with 4, right? So your final answer is 1,382 with a remainder of 4, which is right here.